Gladys Abatoni. Now let's kick off with the news. Those closely monitoring marital relations say sustained cooperation from every together with concerted efforts by various institutions is needed to address the growing number of divorces, warning that failure to do so could undermine the strength of the Rwandan family. Every year, the number of couples legally married in Rwanda remains below 60,000, and it has been declining for the past 3 years. Figures contained in the civil registration report compiled by the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda last year showed that 50,256 couples got legally married in 2025, down from 52,878 in 2024 and 57,000 in 2023. On the other hand, the number of people seeking and being granted divorces has been increasing. A report by the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda shows that in 2025, a total of 4,479 couples had been granted divorces over the previous 3 years. Of these, 782 were granted divorces in 2023 and earlier, while 1,068 couples were granted divorces in 2024. Last year, in 2025, the figure more than doubled to 2,629. The 2025 figures from the National Institute of Statistics also show that 41.2% of the couples who divorced had been married for less than 10 years. The highest number of divorces was recorded among men aged between 40 and 44 and women aged between 35 and 39. Courts in Rwanda have also recently reported receiving 3,620 divorce cases in the first 6 months of 2026. Figures covering the 3 years up to 2025 show that divorces were most prevalent in the city of Kigali with 1,119 cases, followed by the eastern province with 1,011 cases, while the northern province recorded the lowest number of 529 divorces. Now, moving on with more news ahead, the Ministry of Youth and Arts has Dr. Jean-Paul Abdallah Kwishima has stated that Rwanda is prioritizing the building of a strong Rwandan family, particularly urging young people to avoid harmful practices, including consuming substandard alcoholic beverages and misusing social media. He made the remarks during the 23rd National Catholic Youth Forum, which was held in Gicumbi district. Minister Kwishima noted that the organization of the forum by the Byumba Diocese, Gicumbi District and other partners is a good example of collaboration in raising and mentoring young people. He emphasized that building strong families begins with education, early guidance and mentorship so that young people grow up healthy with strong values and the capacity to contribute to the development of the country. He said various institutions should work together to provide young people with opportunities and support them in their development. He urged young people to avoid excessive alcohol consumption, substandard alcoholic beverages, drug and other practices that harm their health, and called on them to use social media responsibly and leverage it to access opportunities provided by the government. Now, moving on with more news ahead, the Ministry of Education has announced that school administrators, staff and students found using alcohol or engaging in other forms of misconduct on school premises will face immediate and permanent expulsion or dismissal. Some parents say such behavior negatively affects students' academic performance. We do have the details. On their end-of-year holiday break ahead of 2026-2027 academic year, say they are determined to avoid behaviors that could expose them to substance abuse, including the use of alcohol and drugs. They acknowledge that some students have previously left school premises without permission to drink alcohol or engage in drug use, behaviors they say can negatively affect their education and academic performance. Parents also emphasize that close collaboration between schools and families in instilling discipline, values and Rwandan cultural norms among students will be key to combating alcohol and drug use in schools. School administrators, meanwhile, say they are prepared to prevent alcohol and other prohibited substances from being brought onto school premises noting that such substances can contribute to indiscipline and other forms of misconduct among students.
Students joining boarding schools, especially those entering Senior 1, often find themselves in a new environment surrounded by people they do not know. It is important to prepare them before this new environment, particularly so they can resist negative influences from other students. Before they become accustomed to their new surroundings, they may be influenced in one way or another. Some may even be introduced to drugs by older students. It is therefore important that before we send them off for the school year, we equip them with sufficient knowledge and skills to confidently say no to anyone who tries to lead them into behaviors contrary to what they have been taught, especially at a young age.
Minister of Education Joseph Nsengimana has called on schools to strictly prohibit and condemn alcohol use among students and other forms of misconduct, warning that anyone found engaging in such behavior will face disciplinary action without exception.
Whether it is a student, a teacher, a school director, or a member of kitchen staff, anyone found engaging in such behavior at school will be permanently dismissed or expelled. As for students, because we have a responsibility to support them, we will work with local government authorities to ensure they have access to appropriate programs outside the school environment. Schools are not places for such activities, so I want us all to be clear: alcohol and drugs have no place in schools and will not be tolerated.
The Ministry of Education says the first term of the 2026-2027 academic year will begin at the start of September. The campaign to combat misconduct and substance abuse among students is also part of broader efforts to prevent alcohol addiction by addressing harmful drinking habits from an early age. Now, still on the education sector, education experts say collaboration between education institutions and teachers in implementing the program to upgrade teachers' academic qualifications will contribute to improving the quality of education. Adam Squizera has the details.
The Ministry of Education recently announced that starting from 2026-2027 academic year, students enrolled in teacher training colleges, TTCs, will study for 5 years and graduate with an A1 qualification, equivalent to a first university degree level. Primary school teachers who currently hold the A2 diplomas will also be required to upgrade their qualifications within the same 5-year period, after which teachers with an A2 qualification will no longer be allowed to teach in primary schools. However, limited financial capacity among some teachers remain one of the challenges they face currently. On this issue, the State Minister and the Ministry of Education, Irere Claudette, says the government will continue to support teachers with limited financial capacity. Education experts says upgrading teachers' academic qualifications could contribute to improving the quality of education, but will require collaboration among relevant institutions. The Ministry of Education says these reforms are part of ongoing changes in Rwanda's education sector aimed at improving the quality of education by strengthening teachers' capacity and better preparing them before entering the teaching profession.
Rwanda has set a target to modernize its mining sector by 2029, with increased investment expected to drive the transformation. The sector is projected to contribute 10% of the country's gross domestic product, up from the current 3%. Adam Squizera kicks off tonight.
The mining sector in Rwanda says minerals are found in 80% of country's districts, including cassiterite, coltan, beryl, lithium, gold, wolfram, and gemstones. Owners of various mining operations also affirm that Rwanda has significant mineral resources.
The exploration results conducted so far show us that we have more than 3.5 million tons of ore in this mine. This gives us a life of mine of around 35 years, but that is only on a shallow level. We are going to continue mine deep. We are going to explore deep. That's why we have we have this type of decline, which will allow us to go down up to 400 meters. And we believe that with that, we can increase our resources, maybe up to 100 years of life of mine.
We've invested more than 17 billion since 2018 when Luna Smelter was established, and we continue this same cause of investing even much more so we can increase our capacity, because as you know, Rwanda alone produces more than 600 tons of cassiterite. And our aim is to become a national hub, actually a regional hub, where we can process most of the cassiterite which is sourced from Rwanda, and then we can add value to it. So this fits with NS2 targets, and we are proud to do it.
The use of modern machinery and technology in mining currently stands at 40%, while country's target is to increase this to 80% by 2029. Currently, Rwanda accounts 22% of the world's coltan production and 31% of global wolfram production. This places Rwanda among the leading producers in Africa and fourth in the world in wolfram production. The CEO of the Rwanda Mines, Petroleum and Gas Board, Wes Alice, says Rwanda is attracting investment through partnerships with mineral processing and refining industries.
Most of the investment that we receive, I will take an example of FDB. The main things they look at is the availability of the minerals, of course, exploration, the certified reports, but also the compliance to ESG. So we need to look into integrating the whole value chain while we are thinking of financing green initiatives. To be able to attract long-term investment is to have strategic partnerships. For instance, if the government is about to buy EV vehicles, EV buses, that's what we're doing here in Rwanda, we have to make sure we are partnering with the right manufacturer and we can supply the lithium and the tantalum they need while we can get the EV vehicles on a discount.
By 2029, the mining sector is expected to contribute 10% of Rwanda's GDP, equivalent to $2.17 billion, up from current 3%, which is valued at more than $1 billion.
The Ministry of Youth and Arts has called on young scouts in Rwanda and other young people to stay away from drug abuse, including illicit and substandard alcoholic beverages that continue to negatively affect the youth. The call was made to more than 300 scouts from all districts across the country as they concluded a 4-day educational camp held in Musanze district. We don't have the details. The young scouts had spent 4 days at the camp in Musanze district. At the end of the program, they say they were returning home with renewed commitments to combat harmful behavior among young people, including drug abuse and the consumption of illicit and substandard alcoholic beverages. The camp featured various training sessions on civic education, drug prevention, environmental protection, and other topics. The Chief Commissioner of the Rwanda Scouts Association, Virgile Uzabumugabo, says the annual camps help young people develop strong values, including patriotism.
Although the theme of these camps was "Let us innovate today so that we can become good leaders of tomorrow," one of the key qualities of an innovative person is the ability to address the challenges facing the community they live in. When we train these young people, we tell them that they will be the light and that they will be the role models for others, and that they are the future leaders of this country. What we need, therefore, is a Rwandan who upholds strong Rwandan values, stays away from drugs, has a strong sense of integrity, and genuinely cares for others.
The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Youth and Arts, Parfait Shungure, urged the scouts to work with different institutions and stakeholders to combat drug abuse, alcoholism, and other harmful behaviors among young people.
Scouts are among the young people who demonstrate good conduct, support others, and have a positive message to share about living exemplary lives. I therefore urge them to go out and tell young people across Rwanda that it is possible to live a healthy and fulfilling life without drinking alcohol, because good health is an investment in a better future. The decision you make today have an impact on your future, so you must protect your health, particularly by staying away from drugs and other harmful behaviors.
During the 4-day camp, participants also took part in competitions based on the lessons they had received. Those who performed best were awarded certificates in recognition of their commitment and participation. The Scouts camp brought together more than 300 young people from all districts across Rwanda who stayed in tents set up in Chuve sector, Musanze district. Rwanda currently has more than 63,000 registered Scouts. And now this brings us to the end of today's English News Bulletin. On behalf of the whole entire team, thank you so much for watching. My name is Enora Gladys Awatoni. Have a good night and a fruitful week ahead.